Alright, welcome guys to the bias. My name Adatodin. Today we'll be looking at another very controversial issue, the issue on gender equality. Well, issue on gender equality has three dimensions, and that's well, the cultural dimension to it, the religious dimension to it, as well as secular dimension. But for today, I'll be looking at well, the secular dimension, and well, what is it about the global system? It's like there's this bias, or yes, some degree of bias in that statement, and that statement is that the society is male dominated, and that's to say that the society is patriarchal, meaning that well, we look at organizations, look at big companies, most of them are male dominated. Well, before I go into this discussion in detail, let's look at what's really happening in the world today, this social justice system that tries to give a space for the LGBTQ group and give a space for individuals. So there seems to be something like individual rights, and so you see the male gender claim to have a certain right, the female gender has claimed to have a certain right, individuals also claim to have a certain right. You see, well, the society is built in an hierarchical structure, so that, well, an hierarchy is an orderly system. So if you begin to create some fragments of chaos in each hierarchy, you disorder the system, and well, there's huge confusion in the global system today. You see things like the lesbian is trying to find its space in the secular system, the gays are trying to find space, but this thing causes more confusion, causes more chaos in the society. But really, is a society patriarchal? If we say the society is patriarchal, what is the position of competence in such a society? Because it's when a structure has degenerated so much that the fundamental element in relationship becomes power, so that at that time what is important is power. I need power to suppress the other one. Is male acquiring power to suppress the female gender? Well, I think for me the basic element of our relationship is more of competence. Because why do I say so? If you look at most of the organizations that are headed by males, I think it's competence. Some organizations are also headed by females, competence. Well, let's consider a very familiar scenario. If I want to order or hire the services of a plumber, it's most likely that the person I will hire is a male. If I want to hire the services of a mechanic, it's most likely that I will hire a male, not a female. If I want to hire the services of a cobbler or a services of a bricklayer, it's most likely that I'll hire the services of a male, not a female. It's not to see there is this band or group of male that are tyrannical and they've stopped me from hiring the services of a female. It's rather on the basis of competence that I have hired the male. If I go to the hospital, I'm most likely to come across female nurses rather than male nurses. And so if I do a random selection of 20 nurses, I'll discover that I might likely come up with just one male nurse as against 19 female nurses. And so if I want to hire the services of a nurse, it's most likely that is a female. It's not as if there is a group of female that says don't hire the services of a male nurse. It's just that that is what it is naturally. And so naturally, the truth is, if you allow female to make choices, they'll go for jobs, they'll go for professions that are less strenuous, whereas male will go for a profession that is more strenuous. And so it's not power, I think it's more of competence. Now, if you also look at the global system, the female sex are more agreeable. Well, there is a personality trait called agreeableness. The female sex are more agreeable when compared to male, because male are more disagreeable. And so you discover that in terms of managerial position, top there, it needs you to take tough decisions. Female most at time don't know how to take such decisions because their decision is predicated on compassion and emotion. And so if a female is in the top of an organization, you discover that she may likely be taking decisions that are towards emotion and passion rather than towards the organization goal. Whereas the male counterpart now will take a decision focusing on the organization goal rather than emotion and competence. So it's really, you see, it's a bad telling of history for you to begin to say that, well, the society is male dominated. It looks like, well, over the time, over space, the female and the male have struggled to push starvation, push war, but it gets to a time where the male suppressed the female and took over power from the female. And so the radical feminists are struggling now by force to take back that power. See, this issue is quite pernicious. In fact, it's a terrible telling of history, and is a very horrible pain to inflict upon men, because you see a lot of men dying of suicide. So a lot of men are dying of suicide from marriage. Well, marriage problem. You see women kill their husband. Well, you see even some micro fraternity among the women just to endanger the life of the male or their husbands. Why? Because they're trying to push back and take back by force what they think, well, belongs to them. Well, I think this issue of gender equality should really be looked at, because, well, it's quite pernicious. Because, well, if you even look at it secularly, you discover that the victim of violence, crime are mostly men. The victim of prison, who are the people kept in the prison, are mostly male. The victim of suicide are mostly male. Who are the people not doing too well in school? Male. Who are the people who suffer more from hunger and starvation? Male. And in fact, even the little they will hustle, I mean for the laborers, they still give it to the female. That's to say that they, even while they are going through this, they understand that they are to cater for the female. And so if you try to readjust the equilibrium, what will come after it, I hope the global system will be able to bear it. Already right now in UK, there is a movement called masculines. And let's think, well, what of when this masculine flows down and encroach into every part of the world? It will be like another sect of people that are trying to neutralize the evil of the radical feminist. I hope time will be able to bear the pains when it comes. Well, that's the place we are going to stop for today. In the next video, I will pick another aspect of this bias in gender that is still secular before we look at the religious and the cultural aspect of it. Do not forget to share, and thank you for listening. I hope you learned something.